Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be hosting Jenna Selestow. She's redefining wellness, health, and how we move our bodies. I'm excited to have her on here, transition from working with a big private company into her own entrepreneurial journey. I personally am always looking for those tips and tricks to get my body moving and grooving because without it, what happens? Health goes to crap. So enjoy the morning show, folks. We're going to get rocking and rolling. Cheers. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk Tanner Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercise to help you become the absolute person you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. Good morning, everyone. Welcome Jenna Selestow to the morning show.
Good morning. Super excited to be here and support you, Tanner, and talk to Tanner. Huge fan and excited to be able to share my ideas too.
Well, yeah, I couldn't. Likewise, back at you. It's been really cool. I remember I got to know you a lot better during COVID. I know for a lot of people that was a tough time, but I got to get to know you, and you're dating my best friend. So and you put us through these workout routines, and so you've always kind of had this spark, and not giving a crap and like leading people in fitness and exercise. It's been a blessing.
For sure. That was definitely a fun time. I probably took it a little too seriously. It wasn't an official group fitness class, but I didn't even made sure you guys only had like a minute break going inside grabbing water. So yeah, that was a fun time for sure.
Well, I guess before we get started, maybe we should start with just an introduction background. Tell me a bit about fitness, what it means to you, how you got started, and that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been quite a journey. I wasn't always into fitness growing up. I definitely was, not in the best of shape. I had always considered myself to be a little heavier. Didn't really care about what others thought. But as I got older, obviously, middle school and high school can be brutal. Especially as a young girl. So I noticed, other girls in my class, obviously their bodies look different. And so when I started, it wasn't the healthiest mindset. I definitely wanted to be thin. I wanted to fit into that societal norm, and I felt that societal pressure. So I started just with I did cheerleading. We did core and ab workouts, which really at the time, looking back now, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was not the best way to do things. Yeah. I got into some unhealthy habits. Just to be very transparent, and this is all part of my journey, I developed a pretty bad and intense eating disorder in high school. And I sought out help for it. I got a lot healthier, and my mindset shifted from wanting to be thin to be super healthy and strong. Because I noticed that without our health, although I was losing weight, I wasn't internally healthy. I had to almost quit cheerleading. I had to almost go and, take a leave from school. So my health means a lot to me. And from there, I've just wanted to continue to learn more. I got into personal training, group fitness. I started in college. I got my personal training certification, started to train people on the side there. And then it just quickly evolved into wanting to help others and show them how, you can have goals with fitness that aren't just aesthetic, and that it's a total mind-body experience. So it's been quite a journey, but I'm really grateful to be here and to be able to share my passion with others.
Yeah, so much of what you're saying, it resonates with so many people. When you were first kind of discovering, that's a tough time for middle school, high school, when we're hitting puberty and hormones are going crazy and image. We just don't know anything about anything at that point. But did you feel did you have friends you related to with like food and how you struggled with that? Was it kind of like you felt like isolated with that? What was the experience really like? I'm sure there's so many people who can relate to you.
Yeah. I mean, to be totally transparent with you, Tanner, at the time, I didn't because a lot of my friends, and maybe this is something that I just didn't know about, but I really did discover that I know people around me, like from college or even like in the past few years, that maybe have struggled, and that's brought us closer.
Yeah,
Just because
wow.
you know
Yeah.
I can relate, but really I did feel isolated back then. I was a young girl. It probably started at like 13,
Yeah.
and it did feel really, yeah, isolating at the time, because here I was by myself trying to like one fit in and go through like puberty and all of that, but also kind of try to like wrangle in these thoughts that I had about like, why do I want to get healthier? Like my why was not good. It was I wanted to be thin. I wanted to, fit in. So yeah, it was definitely a tough time. I'd say more in like the recent years, and in college, I did kind of get to go through like the recovery journey with a lot of my friends who had struggled either in the past or during that time,
Yeah.
which felt good to kind of be able to say like, hey, we've been through this and look at us now. So
Yeah. That's really beautiful, and yeah, I appreciate you being vulnerable and honest because it seems so easy to want to hide that, to not to feel weak or so many other whatever the heck's going on in our brains at different
mhm.
stages. Do you have advice for people who are kind of in a rough mental state with that image issues and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is obviously I'm not like a therapist or registered dietitian. I do help people kind of in those areas, whether it's with like body positivity or food freedom. But I'd say if you're really, really struggling to the point where it's affecting everyday life and it's very serious, I'd say as hard as it can be, get the help you need because it's going to help you in the long run. But if it's that, you do have an unhealthier mindset towards like exercise and wellness, um, I'd say again, still getting help from someone, in this field, whether it's me or someone you know and trust, and being able to really think about like what your life could be like once you're on the other side of it, and trying to kind of focus on goals that aren't aesthetic, which is really important because then you find a why that isn't tied to the way you look, which can help it be more sustainable and help keep you motivated versus, having it just be the way you look.
Yeah, totally. The so much like a lot of your content that I really enjoy. It's so much about like feeling well, and then like when everything's going right on the inside, the outside tends to follow, and you feel
Mhm.
better, and it's really amazing.
Yeah.
Kind of a funny question. So we're talking about kids, and it's like getting helping making an impact earlier seems like it can be really helpful for the long run. Did you what kind of helped you learn about health and fitness? Was it like a teacher? How can we help like people who are younger learn about nutrition and fitness? It seems like there's so much information out
Mhm.
there now. It's kind of hard to pick something.
Yeah, I kind of have like a two-part to that. So like a good and a bad, right? The way we can impact it negatively and positively. So I'd say on the positive side, it is really people you're surrounded with. So the way that your parents talk, speak, about food and exercise. So I always grew up around both my parents. I am very grateful to say that they're both in, really great shape. They're in their 70s, which is crazy, and
Yeah,
they're
that's
active. My
great.
dad's swimming, doing laps, like outswimming my younger cousins. Like
Yeah.
he's insane. But they always kept active, and they always made it a thing about like you just want to feel good. So they did try to remind me that even throughout my time struggling with it. But I'd say on the flip side, you see maybe a mom struggling with her weight or always
Yeah.
dieting, or talking about like, oh, I can't have this food, or I have to work out, or having those like inconsistent, like an inconsistent workout routine, it can affect you at a young age, because then you grow up and think exercise is punishment. There's really bad and good foods. I can't eat that. I can't eat this. My goal is to be thin. So it does affect you at a young age. And I'd say for my own journey, like my parents positively affected it. And also, yeah, my gym teachers too, they really do. I'll never forget this actually. And that's crazy. It goes really well with this question. I'm trying to think, in probably elementary school, which is crazy. And we always had like fitness tests, which is so funny because you're in elementary school and really like how, you know what, you're just a kid.
Yeah.
And I remember we were getting weighed and I was so nervous because I knew I was bigger than the other girls. I was so nervous. And I got up to the scale and I told myself, I'm not going to look down. And my gym teacher, he goes, you should probably look down, like in a bad way. Like you need to get healthier, which that's demotivating. The fact that I remember that from elementary school is pretty cool. Yeah. So, I mean, even educators, like anyone in the health field, like you just have to be super mindful with your words and what you say and how you act and how you view like exercise and fitness in your own body too.
Yeah, it's crazy how certain stuff can really stick, and how, everyone is so different in how it impacts them, and specifically with being a boy and growing up, I think how weight was viewed was definitely different, not probably nearly as harsh for like trying to fit in and status and stuff. So this is I'm a big believer that like we're all just kids with grown-up bodies. Like we so as we become adults, and you've been working with groups, individuals for like a long time, will you talk about some of the struggles that people have with just learning and actually applying this health and nutrition wellness lifestyle, like with your when you were working for that bigger private company, like what were a lot of the patterns and struggles that you've seen with people, like why they so resistant?
Yeah, I can think of some like top challenges I saw. Number one would be a lot of people were just, it's like what you don't know, the fear of what you don't know. So they don't know about the gym. They don't know about nutrition. They don't know better. A lot of women I worked with, even the men too, were just fearful of getting in there, fear of like people looking at them, judging them, which is cliche, but really, and like, excuse my language, but like people don't give a shit about you. Like people care about themselves. They're in the gym focusing, am I doing my bicep curls right? Do I look silly? Oh, I have my shirt on backwards today. Like they like focus on yourself. And I do totally respect that. And sometimes I take people in a more private area because I want to respect their, comfort level. But that was a big one, just fear of like feeling embarrassed or being new. And then the next one, I think I brought this up in one of my reels on Instagram, but majority of the time, whether the client was looking to lose weight, maintain, gain, whatever it is, it wasn't that they were eating too much. Most of the time they weren't eating enough and enough of the right things. So I had a lot of clients I worked with who, would skip breakfast and maybe have a snack for lunch. And then at dinner, that's when, they went crazy and they ate everything because they were so hungry from missing meals. So that was hard, just like a really like scattered and kind of like, not very structured like eating schedule. And the last one I'd say would be the support system they have. So if they're surrounded by people who have those unhealthy habits, who maybe aren't as open to getting healthier, it can be really hard because of course you love them and you're not going to say, well, I'm going to get healthy and leave you to the side. It's like, how do you bring them on board? So those are just a few.
This being comfortable with going to the public space. I think you nailed it right off the bat of people just don't actually give a shit, which is whether that's comforting or uncomforting.
Yeah.
It is kind of still something I play with my head, but yeah, going to public space. Why is that? Why is that such? It's just insecurities, and I think people are really uncomfortable with um, being new to things, like you said.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. I mean, to be transparent with you again, as I always am, like, I still get in that headspace. Like,
Totally.
I am wearing a shirt that I'm like, people are probably looking at me. This looks silly. When I run, I have like, it looks like I peed my pants. Let's just say that. And like, I've kind of gotten over it. But at first I was like, oh my God, like I have to run to the locker room with my like hands covering my pants. And it's like, no one's looking. But it's so easy because we're so self-critical, and it's so easy to point out our flaws and be hyper focused on the things that we're new to, or like being vulnerable. Like, it's super vulnerable to go in there, be a new person, and kind of feel like you look silly, which again, like we just talked about, people aren't paying attention. But the more that you look for it, you'll probably like catch someone looking at you. So it's like, just try to, if you can, go in an area that feels more comfortable. And really, that's why I work with both individuals like in their home and at the gym,
Yeah.
or people who go to the gym or work out from home, because it
Yeah.
is about finding a space that you feel welcomed and accepted and comfortable in. And it does depend on the gym, I'd say too.
Do you have a preference? So if I come to you, Jenna, I'm like, all right, I need some wisdom, girl. And like, do I work out at home or do I go to a gym? Do you have a preference to
I
tell
don't have a
people?
preference. Yeah, I mean, it's all about meeting the person where they're at and where they feel comfortable. Let's say someone's already a part of a gym and they need that guidance, or they're working on more of like wellness coaching and mindset. I really tailor it to them so I can build workouts that are, built for a gym. And then being at home, it is nice just because, actually, I'm going to take that back. Either one is great. I mean, obviously the gym, we have more to play with, but I
Yeah.
think being at home, I usually don't get that fear of like looking silly because they're by themselves or with their family.
Yeah, it's such a good answer. The just people being everyone, there's as many different experiences and perspectives as there are people on this planet, right? And kind of tailoring it to where you're at
Yeah.
makes so much sense. Whether like if the headspace is really a big issue, it sounds like really common. A lot of people will want to start at home and kind of build that base to give themselves
Yeah.
permission and confidence.
That's very
But
true.
I have always been a proponent, though, that getting in a car and going to a gym is like you are just committing to do this. Like, this is it. I've
It's a really good
stopped a
point.
lot of workouts
Yeah.
to like work on work. And it's like, what's the priority here? Is it my body? Is it my
Yes.
career? Or...
It's a two, like, you can look at it two different ways though. Like, I always try to make things as simple as possible and as simple to get done. So if the barrier is getting in your car, going to the gym, and that demotivates you, it's cold outside, it's raining, it's snowing, it's sleeting, you're going to get it done at home because it's right there in your living room. You have a pair of dumbbells. But on the flip side, if someone's easily distracted, they don't want to, work out and live in their house, it's easy to sit on the couch and turn on a show versus working out, then, it's taking that extra step to go to the gym. So it is like either one can work. It just depends on the person.
Yeah. You brought up this, it kind of made me shocked for a second because it reminds me of myself, and I'm sure so many other people that on this food thing. It's like I'll do the fruit smoothie. I'll have like a nice light lunch, so a lot of vegetables and like lean healthy meat or whatever. And then when it comes like dinner and then after dinner, I just go bananas. And
Yeah.
I just start eating. I ate like 5 of these little Aussie bites last night. These
Oh,
little
those are
cookie
so
things.
good.
Oh my gosh, those are so bomb.
Yeah.
And but I was feeling like a whale, and I was like, I need to
Yeah.
like not gorge myself at night. Is this something that people run into a lot? And like, what are people doing here?
Yeah, I mean, there can be a lot to that. It just depends on the person and their mindset towards it. So there's some people who simply, I don't have time. I am going to grab a snack in the lunchroom at work. I'm going to eat the leftover pizza in my fridge from last night for breakfast. Yes, I've seen that done. And then when they get home, then it's a free for all. Like, I'm here, I'm in my house, I'm eating everything in my fridge, which something I'm big on is fueling your body throughout the day so that it feels like satisfied, full, and fueled throughout the day, so that you feel good and you have balanced meals versus one meal at night where, you're not really in tune with like your actual hunger cues and you're just going all out and eating, because that can, lead to unhealthy habits. So something I work on with, clients is really trying to focus on like not taking things away, but what can we add in? So can we add something to your lunch so that you do feel more fueled and you're not, coming to dinner and being ravenous. And same thing with breakfast or throughout the day. And we've all been there. It happens. You miss a meal. Like, I can't say that I miss a meal. Like, I'm always like, when is lunch? Like, when is dinner? But it happens. It's just, you're human. It's easy to do. It's just kind of noticing and making small changes that can lead to big, changes over time.
You had mentioned how you're not super big on taking absolutely everything away, from like an indulgence standpoint. It sounds like, I know personally, I do a lot better when it's not in the house. When it's in the house, like, get out of my way type deal.
Yeah.
Do you kind of, is it again like just a person to person thing, or like do you
Yeah.
kind of, I like, how do you talk to people through that kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm. I'd say person to person. Actually, Alex and I were just having this conversation. So the other day, he texted me. He was grocery shopping. He's like, "Hey, should we get that vegan ice cream?" And I was like, "Yeah, we should. We haven't had it in a long time. Like, throw it in our freezer. Then when we want it, we can have it." It's funny though, because now he's had it like twice this week at night, which is totally fine. It's a cup of ice cream. Nothing's going to happen, even when you think it will. But he goes, "Oh, like, this is what happens when it's in the house." And my mindset is different. It's like, yes, have balanced foods in your house, don't have everything be processed, but
Yeah.
maybe eat a few bites of ice cream at night because it makes you feel good. You're fueled. Maybe your dinner was a healthy balance of protein, carbs, fats, and fiber, but you really need to like teach your body that it's okay to have those cravings when you need it. Obviously, within moderation, having most of your foods be whole. But depriving yourself can sometimes lead to then your mind thinking like, this is bad, this is taboo. And then when you do get it, then it's a free for all. And then you're like, I'm going to eat 2 pints of ice cream. So it just depends on the person. But I really do think that the more that we like hide things, the more that we kind of put them in our heads, like, this is bad.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept of like what is bad, and trying to
Yeah.
introduce principles of like moderation and challenging like your beliefs around food. It's, yeah, I'm a really big goals guy, and it's kind of like, what is your goal? If your goal is to, do a fitness competition and to, be absolutely shred out of your mind, like, yeah, you're going to have to go without that kind of stuff. But if your goal is to like feel better more often, that's my goal. And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like some indulgences aren't going to kill me, but moderation seems prevalent yet again.
for sure. For sure.
Well, so we're talking a little bit about like, you've worked with group classes, you've been in the fitness industry for a while, but now you've kind of transitioned into entrepreneurship. Looking over at your site, you have tons of products, and let's go ahead and I can share share my screen real quick. Pulling up her website, folks.
Sounds good.
Okay. So you got kind of a slew of stuff, whether it's just consultations or customized workouts. That is such a good idea. More people need to be doing this. Those 1 week that caught my eye. That's a really good product. So you've transitioned into entrepreneurship. How have things been going for you? And what's some advice that you have for yourself as you're kind of getting into this journey?
So much. It's funny. Like, I've had quite the journey with like my career out like after college, and each job that I've had has taught me so much. And it's cool because I can kind of take everything, whether it's from my managerial experience at, a private gym, or personal training or group fitness, like it all has led. And in my most previous job or recent job, I was in sales. So now that kind of all ties together. But I'd say the biggest thing that I'm working on right now in this moment, and even in my journal this morning and last night I wrote, reminding myself that I'm on page 1 of my journey, and the people I see maybe online and the other people in this space might be on page 3,000. So I can't compare it. And what I'm trying to do when I'm seeing them is, what can I either take from them? Not take from them, but like, what can I learn from them, instead of say like, oh, they're doing that, like that's so cool, I wish I was doing that. It's like, well, what can I learn from it if it aligns with me and my values and my business?
Totally.
Yeah, but really right now I'm concentrated on how can I build my brand and how can I show people the authentic Jenna and what I have to serve in this sometimes saturated market. But I do fully, wholeheartedly believe that I have something special to bring, and that's what I'm focused on, and trying to be like tuned in on that versus what other people are doing or what other people think.
Yeah, this I love the idea of brand. It's Jeff Bezos has a really cool definition for brand. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room,
Yeah.
and building all of this together. What you said is so beautiful. Something we all fall victim to it. We're all gonna do it. It's just how often, I think, is the real question. Comparing ourselves to other people on this, because there's so many good models out there to learn from, which is very great. But like you said, that means there's a lot of players in the game. So, and your personality and your values, your purpose and all that stuff, like nobody else shares the same exact, because I'm sure people like me who would want to work with you. And then there's other people who would be better suited for a different one. So it's like, to me, it's like really great that there's such a variety of
There
people
is.
out there, right?
For sure. And I think something big is it's really easy when you're an entrepreneur, I think, and you probably find this in your realm too. It's really easy to get someone interested and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to fight to get them, working with me. But it really is about, is that client aligned with me too? Do we share similar values, or do they share the values that I have in my business? Because if they don't, then they probably won't end up getting the results they want, because they're not aligned with my product, service, program. So it is really important to find aligned clients as well.
So how are you going about building your brand now? What's kind of the strategy behind that?
Yeah. I'd say for me, it's just trying to kind of hit it at all angles. So show my personality with my, YouTube videos or workouts, trying to be authentic. So be able to, show my vulnerability, share my story, because my story, I think, really does, oh boy, my story really does, hopefully resonate with a lot of people too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think my thing has always been like, do everything wholeheartedly. So that's what I'm trying to do and show people, and hopefully it sticks, and it shows them that I'm a good fit for them to work with.
These workouts just I feel like you can really double up on the value of these things and use them in multiple ways. Do you plan on posting a bunch of these types of workouts? I feel like you could bundle them up, share them with people. you could do a bunch of different kind of stuff as you're building your brand and using.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, it's funny. Even last night, I started to get a little like, I always have like the problem of like, instead of being like, I don't have ideas, it's like I have too many. And I'm like, Jenna, focus on 1 or 2 things and get really good at them versus 500. But right now, my goal for myself being early on and having other focuses in my business, it really is to post a weekly workout. So today, after our meeting here, our show, I'm going to post a bar workout that I recorded last week. So
Nice.
weekly, I'll release a video, and hopefully over time, I mean, that's 1 a week. Then over time, you know, it'll grow and people have a platform to go in and say, go to my playlist and say, you know, today I have 20 minutes. How can I pick a workout from her 20-minute, you know, playlist? So yeah, that's kind of my focus with that right now, at least. Who knows what the future will bring? I have some ideas swirling around for sure.
Yeah, keep it flowing, keep it consistent, right? The only way to fail is if we quit. So, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows, it turns out. And so, what are some challenges that you're facing right now?
Yeah, so number 1 would be, and I was actually talking to a friend about this too, is kind of like it was when it was isolating when I was younger, dealing with all those, you know, that mindset towards food and exercise. Now it's kind of isolating because I'm on my own. There's no boss to tell me what to do.
Right.
There's no employees. You're doing everything. So number 1, you have to be self-motivated. And 2, it's hard to know. I'm not getting instant gratification, but I'm putting in all this work to hopefully then get it. You have to have that faith and belief in yourself that all the work you're putting in is worth it and it's going to pay off and you're going to have a return, you know, on your investment. So that would be the hardest part, just every day knowing. I kind of get these thoughts sometimes, and this is something I'm working on when I'm doing something. I'm like, why am I doing this? Is it worth it? And it's like, yes, it is. Or at least be able to evaluate and say, maybe this isn't worth my time. How can I pivot?
Totally. This is, thank God we live in a world of coaches. Shout out to talktoTara.com. If you need a life coach to support you and hold you accountable, I'll be calling you every single day. It's really cool to kind of see that these are just so common. It's not like so many of the entrepreneurs I talk to, I get to work with stuff, even the people who seem so confident, like we all have those struggling thoughts on the inside, and kind of, I think it makes us, it's a lot easier to relate and kind of forgive ourselves for thinking that. You'd probably be a psycho if you didn't have those.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
Know, like kind of in a certain way, like, are you sure you should be doing this? And it's like, that means you're probably on the right track.
Yeah. I mean, I think it helps us grow for sure. Sometimes, I mean, too, being overconfident, maybe then you end up going in the wrong direction or focusing on things you shouldn't. So I think it does help for sure.
What are some of your biggest learning lessons so far?
Learning lessons. I mean, I'd say I'm always learning every day about social media. I wouldn't call myself a social media guru by like any means. But I'm learning the world of social media and how tough it can be, how, you know, particular you have to be, how there is that algorithm that everyone sometimes, you know, gets frustrated with. So yeah, I'm learning. It's not always beautiful, but I'm learning to, I've been listening to some different podcasts for entrepreneurs, and they said, take messy action. So instead of sitting there and debating, it's like, yeah, maybe it doesn't look great now, but you're taking action on it. So yeah, take messy action is kind of my biggest lesson, I'd say.
That's so spot on, or at least so with shout out to Steve, my coach. He's one of the best to ever do it. He talks to me a lot about, there's the scales of, so you have like thinking and action. And in the beginning of any entrepreneur journey, you need to be 100% action and just building that muscle of just freaking going for it, because people just don't. And then as you like as you start to move down the scale, you're getting some clients, testimonials, you're building out systems, maybe getting an assistant. You start like the teeter starts to go towards thinking and less action. Like, for example, Warren Buffett, famous investor, I'm sure most people know him. He makes like one move a year, but he's also like 90 years old and been doing it for
he's put in
like
his
70
action
years. Versus us, like we're in the fighting like dogs, getting out there, just really the biggest barrier, it seems like, our own internal thoughts. That's the only thing that's usually in my way as myself.
Yep.
But is just kind of getting out there. So if that it's just so easy to overthink it. And it's like what you do is actually it's really good. I just don't know who the fuck you are. It's like people, how many people need help with wellness, right? Everyone.
Yeah.
Even people who are in shape.
Oh, for sure.
Jenna's help,
and
right?
That's a misconception. I'd say that's a misconception is, yes, I'm aligned with people who are, I shouldn't say struggling, people who are ready to take control of their wellness, or people who are ready to feel more confident or shift their mindset. But also, I think everyone, without knowing it, does have something to work on, whether it's my workout program isn't specifically aligned with what I need, or could I have some help with my nutrition, or, I do fully agree with that. It's kind of like, and I don't know what your stance is on this, but I always say, like, everyone could use a therapist, right? Like, we all have stuff that we're going through. Like, everyone could use a life coach, it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's we're talking about marketing and using the right language. This is something that I'm struggling with and really trying to improve upon, is like laying it out in a way that resonates with the people to the point that they want to take action for themselves. Of course, we can sit here and say everyone wants it. I think that, that real challenge is the verbiage behind it to be so inspiring to get people comfortable to take that step forward. So on that thought of adaptation, like, are there trends that you're seeing in the fitness and wellness world? Like, is there anything that you want to take advantage of, or things that you really want to focus on from like just a trendy perspective?
Yeah. Trends are hard because I think you have to be really careful about who you're seeing the trends from. And where you're getting your information. So I really just try to I've always believed in the basics. I've always believed that, strength training is really important. I think the way that it's evolved is more towards, I guess, women's health, but I have, been diving a little bit further into like lower impact movement for our hormones. One of my best friends and also my business mentor, Biz by Bailey, she is a hormone and gut coach. And I think that's like something that is very, I shouldn't say even trendy, but it's something that people are learning more and more about. So that's something I'm trying to kind of implement with my clients, is just kind of like listening and learning about their bodies more so that they can exercise and eat with the way that aligns with their bodies, and really trying to find a balance in working out. I think back in the day, it used to be, every day we're doing ball slams and burpees and we're pushing ourselves and we're sprinting, and, why not want to throw up at the end of your workout? Like, but I think now it's like, my body needs yoga today. Like for me today, I'm doing Pilates and yoga. So it's like, I think the trend is, if it's even a trend, is just like listening to your body, adjusting, and kind of like, being able to say like, my body needs this, even if in my head, I think that sprinting on the treadmill is going to get me to my results.
Interesting. Yeah. This kind of seeing what comes up and gaining more information, and really, I don't know about jumping on trends versus maybe it's just, we can look at it as opportunities to improve what our service to people, like adding, I hear so much, my sister works in the private medical space, and she's talking to me a lot about like your gut is essentially your brain. Like if
Yeah.
you tell me what you're thinking about when your stomach hurts, and it's nuts how impactful that stuff really is. And I mean, that's again like why the foods and the things that we eat seem to be so important. Um, when it comes to nutrition, do you point people in a different direction, or do you kind of like help them pick what to eat, or how do you go about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that's a really good point. So in my practice, because I'm not a registered dietitian,
Right.
I really, because I'm a personal trainer and I'm getting my like nutrition certification, I really do try to provide more guidance. So even when I was a personal trainer in a private gym, we never were told like it was out of our scope of practice to provide meal plans. And I personally really don't believe in a meal plan because I think it can sometimes set us up for failure if, we don't stick to it. It's an all or nothing mentality. So something I really focus on is providing guidance. Can we get more whole foods? I'll come up with, weekly small habits or things to add in or changes to make. Um, I'll give examples of meals for sure based on what they've, talked to me about.
Hmm.
But I never provide like a meal plan or anything like that.
Hmm.
Just because personally, in my own beliefs, I don't think it's a great way to find success, but I know every coach is a little different.
Well, the beautiful thing is no one can ever argue your own personal experience. So I want to ask you, like, what is your diet like? What are you putting in your body, eating?
Yeah. So I don't know if you knew this, Tanner. And this is, I want to preface this too with this is everyone's bodies are so different in what they need and what works
Totally.
for them. So I am
Hmm.
not pushing this on anyone. I usually really don't even tell my clients, but I'm actually vegan. And that's more for gut health and skin and everything like that. It just makes me feel the best. And
Hmm.
I'm slowly learning. I've been a pescatarian for I think 13 years. So I ate fish at one point and eggs, but not, animal meat like that. And now I'm vegan. So, I try to really focus on balanced meals. So, I'm eating a lot of potatoes, rice, whole grains, and then also protein, beans, lentils, tofu, tempeh. And then I love like leafy greens. I eat a lot of zucchini, broccoli, spinach, kale,
Yeah.
and then getting in, other nutrients aside from that. So
Hmm.
I definitely still, I eat a lot of things. People always ask like, how can you go out for like any food? And it's like, I go to sushi, I get veggie rolls. I go to, get Mexican food. I can eat all the chips and salsa in the world, which is my downfall. I literally always fill up on that. But yeah, I mean, I try to eat a balanced diet. Really, my belief is listening to your body, eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're full. If you're craving something, let yourself have it instead of depriving yourself, but eating mostly whole foods and then still letting yourself, when you need it, have, those foods that aren't as nutrient rich.
Yeah. This Okay, before I go on a tangent here, I am not a dietitian either. Going off of kind of like personal experience, but it was interesting. I was reading the other day. You know where the 2,000 calorie diet comes from? It's just a pool. They took a pool of people who didn't have disease, and they're like, okay, this is the average amount of food that they ate, and then like that's it. And Western versus Eastern philosophies, I think, are so interesting because like in the West, it's like study based, study based, study based. Like this works for this pool of people, even though like we've mentioned several times on the show this morning that everyone's an individual.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's like what is the best way to go about it then? Because we want to learn from these studies, but we're also, because I hear people talking like you have to be eating meat, it's the most nutrient dense or whatever. A lot of people are like, oh, it's destroying your gut, this is going on,
Yeah.
yada yada,
Oh my
whatever.
gosh.
but um, but yeah, just kind of playing around with yourself. I like this test where you eat something and then in 15 minutes after you eat it, you write down how do you feel, and if you
That's
feel bad,
exactly it. That's
do not eat.
exactly it. Yeah,
And if you feel good, then
yes.
you eat that shit again.
Yeah, I have a check-in with a client later today, and one of my check-in questions is what kind of foods did you eat this week and how did they make you feel? Because it really is about the way they made you feel. And oftentimes people, and not everyone, but people will eat a processed burger from McDonald's. You're gonna crash, you're gonna feel still hungry probably, you're going to get that rise in glucose, and then you're going to have a drop. So I think it really is about how you feel after. You hit it on the head for sure.
So how do you, I think it's really easy, and shout out to my girlfriend, love you, honey, that I get all riled up talking about work after work's supposed to be done. And how do you go about balancing personal and professional life? Because it's balls in your court now. You can work as much as you want, as long as you want, and you get paid for how much you put out. So it's like, how do you go about balancing that, or what have you been thinking about with that lately?
Yeah. So for me, I am definitely a creature of habit. I'm a creature of a routine. Some would say I am a very typical type A person. So for me, it does work to structure out my days and try to keep it in a range of, X to X hours. I really let a lot of my career after college take over my life. And I struggled. I didn't have a very good work-life balance. I let my identity be my job.
Yeah.
And it really did. It impacted my life a lot. I wasn't able to see my friends as much. I was constantly thinking about work. My relationship, suffered. So I don't want to say that I'm past that, but I want to say I've grown a lot from it. And I think if I wasn't at that place, I wouldn't have taken this on, because I do know that, like you said, the ball's in your court with this being your own thing and you can work whenever. I really had to be in the right headspace. So I'd say structure out your days, know what your non-negotiables are for the day and what you want to get done. Have, times when you're non-distracted, put your phone away. For me, I really am more productive at a coffee shop. So I try to at least have maybe a day a week that I'm going there and focusing. Obviously, coffee gets expensive. The other day I paid $7 for a matcha, and I'm like, no, we're working from home. And I really do structure it out. So I try to do things at night, whether it's with my boyfriend or even myself. And I say, you know what, this can wait till tomorrow. Or I know that by me taking time for myself, I'm going to be able to give more tomorrow. What's the point of me trying to push more, get more content out, work on a client plan, if it's going to result in me feeling worse tomorrow and then probably not being as productive? So I really try to think about myself as the most important part of my business. And if I don't take care of that, then all else will fail.
Do you ever feel like you're in a rush to succeed?
All the freaking time. Yeah, that's something I'm working on right now in this moment. I was just talking to my business coach, and I write down questions before we meet. And I wrote down the question, I'm not really grinding. Should I be grinding? Should I be doing this? Okay, yes, I'm working on building up my clientele, but should I also release this new guide, and should I do this and that? And she's like, we kind of just took a step back, and she's like, Jenna, you've had your business officially, you've been working on your business for 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. Take a step back, take your foot off the gas pedal, and just breathe. So yeah, that's something I struggle with. I don't know about you.
I think we all do. It's this, it's called hedonic adaptation. When the what is in front of us and what we have, we get used to, so we want more. And it's great for survival and instincts, because it's like, oh, take more action, do this and do that. But it's terrible for present living and happy living. That's because I like to ask the question to a lot of my clients when we're sitting down, and I ask this question to myself a lot, is what are you in a rush for? What are you running to? to be older, to have more money?
Yeah.
What really changes, you know?
Right. Right. You're so true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, right? I'm never going to run a mile in 0 minutes and 0 seconds, but I can reduce my time, baby. So I'm trying
Yeah.
to just pull back. And it's like, man, we have this nice home. I got the girl of my dreams. It's like I already won. It's like I feel like I'm just missing out on life the more I freak out about it.
Yeah.
Or let's say we zoom out and we're both 50 years old down the road, because we're going to be. What would you want? To be young again? To be where you're at right now? These
Yeah.
mind games are nuts.
Full perspective.
Exactly, 100%. Well, so we're gonna get into a little bit, if you're open to it, a couple coaching exercises that I just want the folks to have at home, and also they can get a little bit deeper dive on you, what you're working on, and just resonating with you as a person. So if you don't mind, we're going to go to the chalkboard, the handy dandy board. This is where we get all that magical work done and in. Good morning, everyone. We had a couple cool comments. This person was talking about women having oxytocin and serotonin. I need to learn more about that. My shout out to Danielle. She's been reading a lot on that. You know anything about serotonin and oxytocin? These are like hormones and stuff. I know you said you want to focus.
I would say I'm not an expert on it for sure. I know that's something that's a tough one. I don't know exactly about that. I just know that getting your hormones checked out regularly as a woman or even a male is super important. Your hormones affect a lot, and they can, they're constantly changing. So when your hormones are off, your body is usually off. So I'd say if you feel like something may be off, it may be in your best interest to get it checked out and see what you need to do to, help that out.
First coaching question. What is one thing that you love about yourself?
I love my wholeheartedness and genuine personality.
Whole heart. You're going to get the authentic Jenna, folks. What's your number one goal for 2024? You only get one. Numero uno, the priority.
Mm-hmm. To wake up and be excited for what's ahead.
Could you be more specific?
To have a schedule that excites me and a balance of like clients and everything in my business, and have it be up and running to the point where I wake up and I'm excited and it's, a full day and it's not overwhelming.
How many people would be in a full day?
That's a tough thing just because it's a balance of, I'm still teaching classes and things like that. I'd say having like a solid, 6 to 8 hours of work and feeling good about it.
6-hour work days. I like it. I like these specific metrics because we can come back to them and we can check them with, am I getting closer? Am I farther away? It's like, Jenny, you worked 14 hours today. How are you feeling? And it's like, oh, well, my goal was to have a little more balance. These are good questions to back pocket and to have. What's one piece of advice you have for yourself?
Take a moment to stop and be proud of where you're at.
Time to pause. It's crazy how we spend so little time. It's proven Eastern philosophy for thousands of years that this is what makes us feel good, when we pause and we breathe. And then how much time do we spend it in the percentage of being alive?
Exactly. It's
less
easier
than
said
one.
than done, but
yeah. I did a 25-minute meditation yesterday, and that was like hard. And I've been trying to push myself with that. And it's just like after 20 minutes, It's crazy to me how uncomfortable we can be with just sitting there. It's like, what's going on here? Vice, pause. Okay. All right. And if anyone needs help with guided meditations, make sure to go over to talktotanner.com and check out the one-page life plan. Selfless plug, of course. All right, folks. So these were just some powerful questions. Go feel free to review, go back, check these out, keep them for yourself, share them with friends. They make awesome social media posts, and I got 1 million of them. So if you ever need some extra, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My DMs are open. All right, on to the SWOT. So have you ever heard of a SWOT analysis before, Jenna?
I feel like I have, but you're going to have to remind me.
Okay, sweet. So this is 4 quadrants, and the S represents in SWOT strength, W weaknesses, O opportunities, and T threats. And we're going to pick one item for each, how it relates to you, your life, and your business. So I want you to tell me, what is your biggest strength? What do you think your biggest strength is right now?
Taking action.
Taking action. That one's a damn good strength. That's a recipe for success, really. So what is how can you create a specific action to help support this so it doesn't get out? So we can just kind of measure it a little bit. Is there you want to make so many calls? You want to what is something that you can do for action that we can measure?
Yeah, I'd say I create content. I create a variety of content each day.
Okay. Do you have a number of posts that you like to hit each day or something like that?
Yeah, I like to have 2 to 3 posts a day.
Okay.
And then usually trying to speak to my audience and my story at least 5 times a day.
Okay. 5 stories. Okay, cool. All right, strength, taking action. And we're going to check in and we're going to measure this through 2 to 3 posts over the next week. And if you had 5 stories a day, I'll check in with you in a week from now and just see how you're doing. Things are going. Okay, perfect. On to the next one, weaknesses. What is your biggest weakness right now?
Self-doubt.
Doubt. This one can be a real bitch. However, what's one action item we can take to help improve this doubt? Alleviate.
Taking time to go over the things that I'm really good at each week and successes for the week.
Like the gains, things that you've done well, kind of like accomplishments for the week. Okay. Is that would you do it at home in an office for 30 minutes or what does that look like?
Probably just on a Friday at the end of the workday, think of the things that I'm proud of.
I like naming things. I think it makes it more fun. So Friday review, Friday accomplishments. What's a fun name that you could call it? Friday freedom. I don't know.
Yeah. Friday. I'll think on it.
All right. We'll go with Friday freedom for now. The freedom is and the accomplishments that we have. Okay. Next one is, opportunities. What do you think is your biggest opportunity right now?
I think my biggest opportunity is just getting my name out there, just being able to spread my passion. I think the opportunity is that I'm so well versed in the fitness industry, whether it's teaching group fitness, overall wellness, exercise, nutrition. I think the opportunity is that I do have knowledge in various areas.
How can you apply that knowledge?
Continue to hit my business from all angles.
Could you be more specific?
I'd say like continue communication in multiple ways. So whether it's, doing a live workout on Facebook or something, or doing a webinar, like doing multiple things to educate. And
what's something you haven't done yet that you want to do?
probably doing like I have this written down, but I want to host like a webinar.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, webinars are badass. I've never done one of those either. I'd love to in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. Threats. Okay. What is your biggest threat right now? What is the biggest threat?
Myself. Probably the threat is the comparison of others, spending too much time on social media looking at other coaches' pages versus just working on mine. So something I've been trying to do is my business coach told me more time putting out content, less time consuming it.
Okay. Is there a way that you can measure that?
Probably screen time, or just like maybe look at 2 to 3 other coaches a week when you're scrolling and make sure it's aligned with what you're working on, and not just looking at it from a place of, oh, they're doing that.
Will you explain that a bit more?
Maybe you can just put it down as like reframing, looking at others' pages, trying to take something away, take like 2 to 3 helpful tidbits from someone else's page versus comparing.
Learning over comparing. Man, that one resonates with me a lot. It's really hard to do that. But like we said, we're just building that muscle. You're a lot farther than page 1. I'd argue you've taken a lot more action than most people do in a year already, but learning over compare. Okay, so this was a SWOT analysis. Really the goal for everyone watching at home and kind of just getting to know Jenna a little bit. Really appreciate you being so open on today's show. So we take these strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We just put one out there, and then we just want to put like one action item that can be measured, and then we find support to help hold us accountable to these things. This is what we're really trying to do with our coaching, and this is what we're really trying to do to make sure that Jenna talked about her business coach, but we're just trying to make sure that we're heading in the right direction, not the wrong direction, right?
Definitely. Spot on. And I appreciate you doing this with me. It's helpful. It's a good way to start out my day and kind of get into the right headspace for sure.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's go over, we're going to take another look. If you guys haven't seen it so far, make sure to check out Jenna on Instagram. You're on Facebook. The links are in the description for this video. Additionally, we have her YouTube channel where you can get some nice workouts. I'm going to go ahead and post that into the comments as well if you want to check that out. And then, of course, Jenna's website. Whether you need a week of customized workouts or just booking a consultation, group fitness, Jenna's the lady to talk to.
Yay. Yeah, for sure. Please. Always open to talk to people too. Always want to make sure that, we're aligned and we're a good fit together. And I never push a program on someone. I always make sure we find the right fit for you, even if that means referring you to someone else.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on to the show today. Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience before we cut out of here?
Nothing other than I am always rooting for Tanner, and he definitely has inspired me to take this, journey, and I'm excited to see what we both can do in the next year. Sky's
the limit. Let's rock and roll. Thanks so much, everybody.
Awesome.
Catch you guys on the next episode. We'll be here live bright and early with another episode of Talk to Tanner Morning Show at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stick around, Jenna. I'll be chatting with you after the show. But to you all, peace out. Until next time.